The most frustrating loss of the Miami Heat season happened tonight, 102-88 to the Boston Celtics. Game 4 of this playoff series, and now we have to go back to Boston in a win-or-go-home scenario to save our season. We'll break down tonight's disastrous loss for the Miami Heat on this episode of Heat Digest, where we create daily Miami Heat content. So subscribe to the channel if you're a part of the 84% currently watching this video who are not currently subscribed to the channel, as we're on the road to 1,400 subscribers. We do appreciate all the love and support, but thank you. So now let's get to it and break down this absolutely disastrous loss. And I say it's the most disastrous loss. I say it's the most frustrating loss for this Miami Heat team up to this point in the season for a few reasons. The first one being we ran good offense. We played good offense. The only problem was it was never resulted in a made shot, it felt like. As tonight, every time we ran some half-court offense, we produced an open, good look. The problem is it didn't result in any makes. And then on the other side of things, the Boston Celtics came out in Game 1 and in Game 3, and they really established themselves on the defensive end. They came out, they were playing high-energy defense, and it resulted in the Miami Heat not getting any open looks really from the entire anywhere on the field in the entire game. And that resulted in stagnant offense, flat offense, just not good basketball by the Miami Heat. And it resulted in big leads and big wins for this Boston Celtic team. And tonight, that Celtic defense did not show up, to say the least. And despite that, and despite the Miami Heat creating good offense, it just did not result in any made shots, and it resulted in a Miami Heat loss. Here are the team stats, and this is just another perfect example of how frustrating this loss was tonight. As the Miami Heat shot 35 of 86 from the field, which is 40.7%. If you look at the Boston Celtics shooting percentages, they shot 36 of 86 from the field, 1 percentage point better at 41.9% from the field. Absolutely so frustrating to see a team win 102-88. Wasn't the closest game in the world, especially through stretches. We did make it a bit closer down the stretch of that game. It's down the stretch of the fourth quarter as we went on a little run ourselves, making a 25, 28-point lead, more respectable at 12-14. But again, it did not result in a very close game for the majority of this game. If we look at the three-point percentages, we shot it for the Miami Heat 9 of 33 from behind the three-point line, which is 27%. Really not going to get it done, especially when you're coming from a team that really lives and dies by that three-point shot. Now, if you look at Boston, they shot 14 of 37 from behind the three-point line, 10 percentage points better than the Miami Heat at 37.8% from behind the three-point line. Just not the greatest game by the Miami Heat when it came down to the actual shooting percentages and the ability to knock down jump shots. There was multiple occasions tonight where Tyler Hero, one of the leaders on our offensive end, really facilitated the basketball extremely well. It just did not produce a made shot. I will say it produced an open shot, but it did not produce a made shot by this Miami Heat team. Bam Adebayo was really the largest factor for this Miami Heat team tonight, as he had 25 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50% shooting, 11 of 22 from the field, including 1 of 3 from behind the three-point line, making his first career playoff three-point shot while making 2 of his 3 free throws attempted. Overall, a great game from Bam Adebayo. He was asked to do a hell of a lot tonight in 42 minutes of basketball, and he really did do a lot. Had a plus-minus of -9, which, again, I know it's not great to have a negative plus-minus, but for everything that Bam was asked to do tonight and the amount of minutes he played against this Boston Celtic team, overall, a great game from Bam Adebayo. He just, seriously, he did not have the amount of help that was required of him tonight, as the three-point shots and really the shots overall were just not falling for the Miami Heat. At least that's the way it seemed. For Tyler Hero, he had 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. He did shoot 8 of 17 from the field, including 2 of 6 from behind the three-point line, making 1 of his 2 free throws with 5 turnovers tonight. I will say he was a lot more efficient in the second half of basketball tonight, and it was felt greatly, as it felt like in the first half there was multiple possessions that felt consecutive. They were not, but again, it felt consecutive because of the rate of play and the amount of time the ball was in Tyler Hero's hands. I'm not complaining. It was just the way the offense had to be run tonight, as he was the most dominant ball handler for the Miami Heat tonight, and we really had to let him facilitate the basketball, as in Game 3 we did see him really facilitate it well with 14 assists and 28 points. For the rest of the starting five, we had Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. I will say Jaquez Jr. did exit this game and did not finish because he had upper leg, excuse me, I should restart this, from Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter saying, Jaime Jaquez wasn't on that Heat bench the entire fourth quarter. Spo says his upper leg was tight, and they will find out more tomorrow. Obviously, not a concrete report in the sense that we don't know exactly what is wrong with Jaime Jaquez Jr. We just know that he was not on the bench the entire fourth quarter. Obviously did not play in the fourth quarter due to that upper leg tightness. We'll have more reports on that hopefully tomorrow when we get some updates, just a doctor to look at it and really examine what is going on. For Caleb Martin, he shot 6 of 14 from the field. He did not start all that well shooting-wise. He ended with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. He only had 1 turnover, which is great. He shot 4 of 8 from behind the three-point line. It felt like in the first half he just could not hit anything. He did get things going, and as well as the Miami Heat overall did. Again, it was just too little too late, and it just was not a high enough clip to really make things interesting. Jaquez added 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block with just 1 turnover, shooting 40% from the field, 4 of 10, 0 of 2 from behind the three-point line, and 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has the most adult-level, mature game I've ever seen from someone who is 22 years old. It is fun to watch. It's fantastic to watch. He's obviously not a dominant all-star level player, but it seems like in a few years he can be in that 15 to 18 points per game range, and really it can be on 60% shooting due to the fact that he doesn't rely on the three-point shot and his ability to get inside that three-point line close to the basket with elite-level footwork in the post. I feel like he can really be able to fill it up in bunches later on in his career when he really establishes himself in this NBA, as well as being an elite-level defender, as we saw not only in Game 3, but as well as tonight, being an elite-level defender before his exit. Now, that is not only the only things we have to cover in this game. Obviously, we dropped to 3-1 to these Boston Celtics before going back to Boston for the Game 5, which, again, will be in Boston. It will be on Wednesday night. It's going to be a hell of a game, and I can't wait to see how things play out. I will say there were a few injuries as well to the Jaquez injury. Kristaps Porzingis went down with a calf injury. He did not return after the first half of this basketball game tonight for the Boston Celtics, as well as a Jason Tatum rolled ankle. Now, I have the clip here. I'm going to play it. I just want to quickly highlight that this was a horrible call. Obviously, I'm a Miami Heat fan. Obviously, I root for the Miami Heat. I cover the Miami Heat for Heat Digest, currently where you guys are watching this video. This was a horrible call by the officials. Jason, I'm not saying Tatum flopped. Obviously, his foot landed on Bam's. Bam didn't do anything malicious. He didn't do anything out of pocket. He didn't do anything no one else in the league or in the world would have done. This was a extra shot, a warm-up shot for Tatum, and he wasn't going to let it happen. It happens every single game. Once, twice, 10 times a game. It's just whether or not it's an actual closeout by a defender or a just jumping up and not letting the ball go in the net when you're standing underneath the basket. Here's the clip. Tatum catches the ball at the top of the key. Derek White comes for a screen. He slightly pushed to the back. Tatum attempts a shot. Bam steps into it to contest it. Nothing more. And in the process, Jason Tatum does land on the foot of Bam Adebayo. One more time. Here we go. I'm going to pause it. Here comes Derek White. Patty Mills riding him from behind. It doesn't look like a lot of a push. Seems like he might have got him just enough for Derek White to fall forward. Tatum goes behind the back. You see Bam swipe at the ball because he's not going to let anyone on the Boston Celtics, let alone anyone that they're playing against, get an open warm-up shot to keep themselves in rhythm, to allow themselves to really feel good about themselves, make or miss. He ends up getting it off, but because Bam steps into it to swipe away and really close out on someone who's shooting the basketball for Boston in Jason Tatum, you see right now, I cannot zoom in on this video, but Tatum's right foot lands on the right foot of Bam Adebayo, rolling it, and falls over. He does clinch his, or I believe it was the left foot, not the right foot of Tatum, that lands on Bam Adebayo's, rolling it over. He was totally fine. He walked it off. He did come back, but in the process of going to commercial break, it was assessed that Bam Adebayo caught a flagrant one. A flagrant one on that. He did nothing. I'm going to play it one more time because I genuinely don't understand still to this point how this is something that we're going to call. The foul has been called. The foul is called right Now, foul is called. Foul is called. The line judge, not line judge, but the the official to the back of Jason Tatum has already blown his whistle. He's about to raise his hand, and this is all extra by Tatum. That is 100% all extra by Tatum. Bam Adebayo was walking up to him. It looked like he was going to be friendly in that moment. Al Horford came running up to defend Jason Tatum, and he bumped Bam Adebayo in the process. It resulted in a double technical. Not what should have happened, in my opinion. Obviously, you can give Horford some if for the way he ran into Bam, but again, Bam is just not allowing someone to get an open warm-up jump shot in the middle of a play. The shot wouldn't have counted if it went in. It wouldn't have. The foul had already took place. It was a dead ball foul when or if you wish to call it that, when Tatum and Bam had that little incident where he landed on his foot. Absolutely horrible call. Obviously, it did not swing the game in the favor of the Boston Celtics, as that game was really already, it seemed like, out of hand at that point, and the game was really coming to a close. Obviously, Miami did make a run tonight, and I just don't understand how this game plays out the way it does. The Miami Heat, the sole focus of this video was how poorly they shot the basketball tonight. Obviously, it was not a great thing for the Miami Heat, but it just a night where the Miami Heat had to knock down those shots. The Boston Celtics came out, and they did not play the high-level defense that we really needed to see, and because of that, it felt like the Miami Heat were going to have a shooting chance, but that shooting chance just quickly and just slowly closed as the game went on, as the Miami Heat simply just could not get anything to go from behind the three-point line where they were shooting the ball. It felt like exclusively in that first half. I cannot go this video without highlighting Derek White had a moment of greatness tonight, and when I say moment, I mean he wrecked our game all night long. I was going to use a different adjective, but I will take the high road here. He had a hell of a performance tonight. He had 30-plus points, 3 blocks, and I believe I think he had 8 rebounds. He's one of 3 players to do that in NBA history, with Vince Carter and Damian Lillard, and overall just a hell of a performance. It felt like in the first half he could not do anything wrong. It ended up being the entire game where it felt like that, but in the first half he had a few heat check moments, and thankfully he missed one of them to really slow himself down, which still resulted in a 38-point game from Derek White. But again, I felt like he was throwing rocks in the ocean. He was standing on the beach all night long. Regardless of how good the Miami Heat defense was, Derek White really had an answer, and he was the sole help for this Boston Celtic team. I said this was the most frustrating loss, not only because the Celtics didn't play that high-energy defense. It resulted in good shots by the Miami Heat. They just could not translate, but the Boston Celtics could not make shots. Everyone, excluding Derek White, obviously, in this scenario, could not really hit shots at a high clip for the Boston Celtics, so it seemed like the Miami Heat really just had a chance every single quarter. It didn't help that we came out and had a 12-point second quarter that obviously is never going to really help. I will say we only gave up 19 points in that quarter, that second quarter, for the Miami Heat. So when we were bad, the Celtics weren't great, which really kept the game closer than it should have been, if you will. But again, overall, just not a great shooting night from the Miami Heat. Not a great shooting night from the Boston Celtics, but Derek White was there and gave them basically a 40-point performance to really propel them to another win, as now they move to 3-1 over this Miami Heat team. I can't wait to see how Miami does going into Game 5 in Boston. It's a win or go home scenario. Spo has already mentioned how they are really excited to go into Boston, hopefully steal another win in Boston, and come back to Miami to give the Miami Heat the Miami Heat fans a hell of a performance to watch, and hopefully push this game or this series to 7 games. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought the biggest factor of this game was and the reason the Miami Heat lost. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for watching.